joining us today is Ridhi Khosla Jalan, and Ridhi has really carved a niche for herself in the interior designing space, both in terms of her talent as well as a content creator. And she's creating all kinds of new boundaries when it comes to redefining the interiors landscape and her own role in it. So let's get into conversation with Ridhi. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Well, what an introduction. I'm a little overwhelmed by it, but thank you so much for having me.
So Ridhi, give us your background. You were studying interiors, I think, and you moved back to India, or you got pregnant at the time. How did it all begin?
So I'll rewind a little
Yes.
bit. I grew up in Singapore and I grew up in LA after that. And I attended USC, which is a university in LA. I studied finance and marketing, though I used to stare at the architecture school and wish that that's what I was doing, but I didn't have the courage or the gumption to actually switch major, and went ahead with finance and marketing. Met my husband very quickly after graduating, got married and moved to Mumbai.
Okay.
And I had my first child, and when I was pregnant with the second one, I told my husband, listen, I really think I'm passionate about interior design.
Okay.
I want to go get a degree in it. So he was very supportive, but I had to do a part-time course because I already had one child. I was pregnant with the other one. So I did a 2-year program every Saturday to Sunday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I was literally like the pregnant lady in college with these other 18-year-olds.
Firstly, how old are you?
I'm 37.
37. You don't look
Yes.
it, first of all.
Thank you. All the anti-aging
Yeah.
cream is working.
Okay, great. So 37, 2 kids. And let me
Yes.
rewind. When you moved back, at that time you weren't working. So initially you hadn't taken up anything
So I
post-college.
did. When I just moved to Mumbai, I didn't know if I was so new to Mumbai. If I left my main door, I don't know if I should turn right or left to even go to my final destination. I had no clue. So I took up a job as a stylist at a magazine called Hyblis,
Okay.
which was Kingfisher's in-flight magazine at that time. But it gave me flexible hours, hybrid working model, and I felt I would meet people, get to know the city,
Sure,
and it was a fun job, so that's what I took up. During that job, I got pregnant with my first child.
Okay.
And the hours of a magazine shoot, if anyone has worked in a magazine
Yes.
shoot, is crazy. Sometimes you leave at 4 in the morning for a shoot, sometimes you're home at 4 in the morning from a shoot.
Right.
So at some point I had to turn that off and be like, now I'm going to have
That's
a
it,
child.
yeah.
So when I was 9 months about to deliver, that's when I stopped working with the magazine.
Okay. So at
Yes.
9 months you stopped working there, and then
Yes.
sometime into your second pregnancy was when you realized that I want to pursue something else.
So I'd always had an eye for interior design,
Okay.
and I kept thinking I really like it, but I never thought, let me do it professionally,
Okay.
until I got pregnant with my second one and said, you know what, let me just have a go at it, but I need a degree first. So when I actually joined, I was pregnant, but I had a miscarriage. And after that, I got pregnant again. And I went to the head of the department and I said, listen, I'm pregnant. And you know, those exams are very long and you have to stand for hours. Interior designing, you have to draw with your
Yeah.
hand. So I said, sir, can I please have food and water and a lot of bathroom breaks? And they were very accommodating. So that's what I did. And I was literally the odd one out because I was this pregnant lady and you had these other kids saying, hey, we're going to go to a cafe now, or we're doing a weekend trip with friends, girls. And I'm like,
Aw.
no, I'm married with a child and a kid on the way. I can't do all of this. But great experience nonetheless.
And also that you chose to go and study, because I know a lot of people who would perhaps assume that, and maybe they do have the skill set or the eye for it, and they would have decided to give it a shot in any case. And you chose to actually go gain the knowledge.
I think that's important, just
Yeah.
to have some foundation. So when you are going to site for the first time, you have something to take you
Yeah.
through. Having said that, there's nothing like actually working on site. If I had to ever pick, I would choose working on site as opposed to getting a degree, but it's a nice foundation to have. So, and I think parents always inculcate, right? You need to have a degree
Yeah,
in what
that's
you
true.
want to
That's
do.
true.
So
That's true.
that voice was always in my head.
I think it's a wise choice.
Yeah.
So you started, I think, with children's rooms.
I did.
Right? And
Yes.
I mean, naturally, you were a mom as well, and had just had your second child.
Yes, so that happened very organically because I had now 2 kids.
Yeah.
I saw a gap in the market, and I was exposed to Singapore and LA and other countries, and I knew you did get children's products abroad, but you didn't in India. So there was clearly a niche over here and no one was giving the supply for it. So I opened a store called Little Nest, which was at Om Chambers in Mumbai next to Abu Jani Sandeep's store. And it was 2 floors where I had clothes, toys, everything for kids. And on another floor was all the furniture accessories. And then I ended up doing full kids' rooms. That led to doing full homes because people would be like, oh, you're doing this room, now can you do the living room? Can you do the kitchen? So it just kind of grew into doing full homes.
All right. And when did the journey as a content creator begin? Because this is the story. I think you jumped, your Instagram handle says that as well, that in 9 months you saw the fastest growth. Yeah. I have to be honest, anyone looking at that page will first be like, what did they do? Right?
Yeah.
Did they
How did she make it happen?
Yeah. And then they'll scroll
What's
for the
secret
engagement.
sauce?
And yeah, exactly. So I think it went up to almost 500,000 followers in just about 9 months. So I mean, you must have been overwhelmed yourself.
I truly was. I started 1st February 2023. Now we're in February 2024 and it's almost 500,000 followers. But I started, honestly, again, I saw a gap in the market. As an interior designer, I was never someone who said, I'm going to submit my work or photographs into magazines. And I was getting good work, but I never was a celebrated interior designer and I never pursued it from that angle.
Sure.
Which also meant that I never had access to all these parties, new product launches, or knowing immediately when a new product dropped or a new material dropped. So people like me, girls like me, who were doing good work, but not necessarily in the top 100 interior designers of the country, how would we come to know what's happening in the world of interiors? And you want to stay up to date.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? And every week I would have a friend call me and say, Ridhi, where can I get lights? Ridhi, where can I find a sofa like this? And I said, there's clearly a need because people are perpetually calling me. So whatever information I have, let me put it on Instagram. And if it helps anyone else, that's great.
Sure.
Turns out a lot of people wanted that information.
And it's phenomenal. Like you said, you probably identified a gap. I mean, we've got influencers in every other segment. We probably haven't seen this kind of information and communication around interiors.
Right. So I think there were no design influencers. Yeah. How you have fashion influencers showcasing clothes, there was no one showcasing materials or new products for design. And you have to have the knowledge to know about the product. Right. So I think it's a combination.
And today everyone wants a beautiful home, right? Today everyone's looking to...
Everyone wants a unique home.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
That's the chase. Yeah.
So has that become your main business, or are you also still working on projects? Is it a bit of both? Does that feed into your core business, or?
It's definitely become my core business.
It's become your core.
Because it's just, again, very unexpectedly, I was happily taking on projects, and at some point I had to say I can't manage both. Instagram was just taking over my life, and I said, okay, let's not take on any more projects. Let me enjoy this ride and see where I land up 2 years later. Right. And if I want to go back to designing 2 years later, I very easily can, with even more contacts and knowledge and connects. So there's nothing to lose here.
And you have a team now, I'm sure.
I do. I have a team of almost 10 people helping me because I can't do this alone.
Of course.
Yeah.
And the store is still there, or now you've evolved to a studio?
I can't. There's just one of me, Aabha. There's only that much I can do.
You're like, no, that went. And this whole journey took you, what, a year?
A year.
So this is crazy. So you started off, you set up the store within 9 months.
So the store was about 7 years ago.
Okay.
That was a
so that
while
was
ago.
ongoing.
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
And once my full interior business took off, I actually shut down the store.
Okay.
Because again, there's only that much I can do. I still have kids and family and friends.
How old are the children now?
My kids are 13 and 10.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So they're a lot easier to manage also. There's not that much manual labor in feeding and bathing and all of that. So
yeah. So what's interesting to me also is that then the reason I'm going on about asking your age is just
I don't know.
I'm really not in ages. So my editor's gonna be snipping away. But by the way, we have unfiltered, unedited interviews here.
Yeah, clearly.
On LWL.
Should have put more under eye cream before coming.
No, the reason I'm asking is because you actually started your career a little later.
Yes.
That's why I said, did you have a break when you came back? Did you start a little later? Because I think that's inspiring to many women who may be looking to perhaps give their time to their kids,
Yes.
enjoy that phase, and then choose to perhaps get into something. And I think a lot of them may find it challenging,
Yes.
whether they're returning to a corporate space or whether they're looking to start something on their own. You know, what gave you the gumption to do it? I know you studied, I know you went out and got the knowledge, but it's still not easy to go out there and, you know, set up a store or decide to take on a project. It can be intimidating.
It can be very intimidating, and I think you hit the nail on its head, where it is difficult to join the workforce after taking a sabbatical, and you can't do it without a good support system. At least I couldn't. So I rely very heavily on my husband, who's also very hands-on with the kids. So that gave
That
me...
is so important.
Yes.
Yeah.
So even literally 6 months ago, when we saw Instagram booming, my husband very sweetly had an intervention with me and the kids and said, listen, I think mom's hit on something big. So I'm going to look after you guys more. Let mom go and fly. Let mom do what she needs to do for 6 months and see where we land up 6 months later.
Oh my God, that's
So,
gold. That's gold. I'm just soaking that in.
Yeah, so it's a blessing to have someone appreciate your work and give you literally be the wind beneath your wings.
I mean, he's
really
obviously a very secure man.
Yes,
Do you
he's
mind?
a very and successful himself.
I was just going to ask, do you mind if I ask what he
Yes,
does? Or,
yes, and successful himself, which is why there is no insecurity that comes with this.
Fantastic.
So he's like, I've done well, I want you to do well, and we have 2 daughters, I want you to be a role model for them. So he's been outstanding. Had I not had the support, I don't think I could do what I did. But there is a big challenge for women to join the workforce again. In fact, every time I put out a job ad and I put in flexi hours work from home, I get a huge influx of women saying, I have a child 14 months old, 16 months old, so this hybrid model works for me, can I join? And I'm so willing, because I know a woman like that will work hard. And I understand the pressure that comes from having a child and running a home and cooking and doing everything like that. So,
you know, it's not easy to make your mark in a city like Mumbai. No, in the sense, it's a busy city, right? To stand out, it does take something special to get noticed. And, you know, you of course saw the Insta surge. You've taken it to another level also. I mean, apart from working with all these brands, you've been visiting people, you know, like A.R. Rahman, just dropping in to say hello. What's going on there?
That was lovely. So turns out I call him Rahman sir. Rahman sir was a follower, and we started chatting.
A.R. Rahman was following your page.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm
any other major, like?
There are quite a few. There are quite a few
okay.
Bollywood celebrities, and we actually talk back and forth.
You're on your page yourself.
I'm on my page myself. Fantastic. So if I don't reply to DMs, it's because I haven't gotten to it, but I'm
wait.
pretty good.
Give me an example. Tell me about a chat with somebody. This is just like, I just want to know.
I don't know if they'll be okay.
It was like your dream messenger, right? Like you woke up in the morning and you're like, oh my God, this person.
So Rahman sir was definitely that. There are a few others. You'll see them on my page soon, because I'm like, if I'm chatting with you, we're going to make a reel together. So
okay, cool.
You will see them. But Rahman sir and I started chatting, and it's him himself who actually manages Instagram, his own page. Yes.
Wow. I didn't know that. I've of course met him.
Now
but
suddenly
I
people are going to be DMing him.
Yeah,
saying, please, I want a response. But
let that one out of the bag. Yeah.
He's actually very interested in interiors because he keeps doing up various studios. So I asked him, I said, sir, is there a nice studio that you've just renovated? I'd love to shoot it. And he said, yeah, I have one in Chennai. Why don't you go down and shoot it? And I was like, yeah, sure. And got in touch with his whole team. And he started messaging me one-on-one on SMS, not WhatsApp, SMS, which I don't know about you. I don't check SMS. It's for OTPs only.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. I was at the World Cup watching one of the cricket matches, and I saw a message saying, this is A.R. Rahman. This is my number. And I'm like, oh, this can't be real, right? Like this.
Seriously, imagine. I would take it. I would double take myself.
Yeah, and I showed it to my husband, and I was like, well, clearly I am talking to him. I know he has my number. So he reached out, and I messaged him. I said, sir, I would love to go to Chennai. Let's make it happen. He's like, yeah, go on this date. I said, so will you be there? He said, I will be there. I said,
Yeah.
okay, perfect. So I'll see you. He wakes up at noon and sleeps at 5 in the morning. Those are his working hours. And the flight I had to catch for Chennai was like I had to wake up at 5 in the morning. I was on the way to the airport and I got a message from him saying, Ridhi, I had too much work in Mumbai, so I'm not making it to Chennai.
Oh no.
So I was so bummed and I said, okay, never mind. At least I get to see his studio. And I saw the whole studio and he called himself and he said, have you seen it? Did you like it? And I said, I really liked it. So, but I want to meet you. I want you to introduce this reel. I'm not going to release it without you. And he said, okay, I'm in Mumbai tonight. What time do you land? I said, I land at midnight. He's like, I'm in the studio till 1:30 a.m. Do you want to drop by? Yeah. And I said, yes, I want to drop by. And he said, okay, but don't film anything. But I'm jamming and making some music with Imtiaz Ali. Do you want to just come hang out? And I was like, yes, I want to hang out.
So cool. Yeah.
So met him, didn't photograph, didn't do anything like that, but got to hang out and see the jam and see the whole session. And I said, okay, so whenever you're ready, call me again, and when you're in Mumbai, and I'll come record you just so you can introduce the reel, and I'll take 5 minutes of your time. And he said, yeah, sure. And we would still go back and forth and continue this conversation on SMS. He then messaged me maybe 2 weeks later saying, I'm in Mumbai, do you want to come by? And this is after I haven't reminded him. Okay, this is how thoughtful he is. And he said, I didn't get the message because I don't check SMS. So I missed it. And then I saw 2 days later and I was like, so?
What are you saying? Oh no.
I don't check SMSs. And so next time, I can't believe I missed this opportunity, but next time you're in town, let me know. And 2 months later, he actually remembered he had come for Amir Khan's daughter's wedding.
This is unbelievable.
And he sent me an email, like just different forms of communicating. And he said, I'm in Mumbai tonight, because he probably realized I don't check SMSs. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's how thoughtful he is though, right? To even remember that Ridhi's not going to check her SMS, so let me just email her. And he emailed me and said, I'm in Mumbai tonight. If you're free, come and you can record what you want. I said, okay, perfect. So I showed up with my team and I called him and I said, sir, I want to record inside your recording studio, not in this like reception hall or whatever. He was like, think of it as your home, go where you want and we'll do whatever you want. And I was like, that is...
So, okay, let's take a learning from this for those listening, right? Clearly
so
you gotta ask for what you want.
You have to ask, guys. You have to ask for what you want, otherwise it doesn't happen. I think a lot of people just are so apprehensive or they think they'll get rejected, so they don't even end up asking. But I have learned you have to ask for what you want. The worst is they'll say no.
Sure.
That is, and I really practice that
So there's no
now.
magic tricks. It's really just being out there.
Yeah, and I think, and I don't want to use the word aggressive. I wish another word came to mind, but actually being a go-getter.
Right.
Where you have to say, okay, this is what I want, aim for the stars, and actually ask.
Do you feel that there's a new side to you that's emerged?
100%. I think there's a newfound self-confidence. I do think I have realized that I'm now made of steel because you are put through certain challenges and things as you're going through work. And I think I found a newfound respect for myself, which I didn't know even existed. The thought of that existed, and the belief that there is infinite possibilities that can happen in the world. I think sometimes we live in a bubble and you just don't know what you're capable of. I now know that if I have achieved this, there is so much more I can go for. So that's been a huge learning.
I'm imagining it all.
Yeah.
When you say challenges, what were some of the difficult moments for you?
I think people take the word influencer as a very floozy term.
So you deal with a lot of brickbats also.
So that I think, and to be honest, a lot of people have diluted the term. I like to believe what I do is a lot more professional and genuine influencing.
Yeah.
But that sometimes doesn't get the respect that I should for the kind of work that I do. So that I feel has been an uphill battle and something I'm still struggling with. To get the kind of respect I would for the work I do. A lot of people recognize it, but there is still a large chunk that doesn't. So I see myself crawling and gnawing my way through that just to get the respect that I would deserve.
What do you think would change the needle? I mean, I don't even want to bring gender into this for a moment, but if we just look at it as a profession just for a moment, what do you think would help them to understand that you're serious?
I think if they did it themselves,
oh, yeah.
to know how much work goes
asking
into
a very
it.
serious question, you know?
Yeah, but honestly, for other people to appreciate your work, that person has to be in your shoes. It's very easy to appreciate a CEO because a lot of people know how much work goes into it.
Right.
But because my job profile is so new and there aren't too many interior design influencers, people don't realize the amount of work and effort. I work 100 hours a week. I work like
Really?
a crazy person. You will not find a more hardworking person than me. And it's not fashion because, you know, the difference is you can send the clothes and the shoes and the accessories, and what fashion influencers do is also a lot of hard work. But interiors, you can't send the sofa to me or the veneer to me or the marble to me. I have to go for each and every reel. So it's a lot of travel, it's a lot of time away from kids.
Yeah.
And it's really a lot of hard work, and I've calculated, I know it's more than 100 hours a week. It's like I'm an investment banker working those hours. So
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. People need to step into my shoes to know how much work goes into it.
So what's the next high for Ridhi then? What's next?
Can I say infinite possibilities? I don't know if
Okay, what's
there
the
is
immediate next step? Infinite will happen.
I wanted to do TED Talks, but
Global
that's happening in 2
domination.
weeks. So, global influencer.
Yeah.
I think you said it. Being a global design influencer, bringing the world of design to India. Right now, I showcase a lot of what happens in India, but I want to showcase what happens around the world and improve everyone's exposure in India. And say, this is what happens in LA, this is what people do in Singapore. Can we make it even better in India? How do we make it more cutting edge? That is what would really excite me.
All right. And how do you feel you could get more involved in that dialogue in India in terms of the kind of, I mean, I know we have design fairs and so forth, you know, for a content creator like yourself, because it's a niche, right? How do you feel you could take that dialogue further?
I think a lot of, definitely on my platform,
Of course,
but even talks like this, right? I think the more you talk about it, the more it opens up other people's mind of knowing, oh yes, we should do this. So a lot of conversation would definitely make a difference.
So you have two young girls, now 13 and
13
10.
and
So
10.
young, yeah. And you know, do you also pass on the same go-getter attitude or the go-getter sort of values to them? Are they aspiring to?
I think so. I think it naturally gets imbibed into them, right? What they see is what they do. And earlier, when I wasn't working these crazy hours, I would see them also kind of chill around the house and laze a bit more. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I know everyone says kids need downtime, and I completely believe that. But the momentum of the house has changed because they see how hard I work. And they just end up mimicking what I do. So I have a 10-foot dining table at home, and we literally all just sit on the dining table, and they're doing their homework and studying, and I'm working. So it's just the environment that gets created.
So it sounds like a lot has changed in your personal life also. So you had
A lot.
Right? So you had about like, let's say you started this I'm just retracing steps. Let's say 2-3 years you were putting this into motion, and you had your business for about 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Right? In those 6-7 years, you had probably shut the store in the first 2-3 years.
Yeah, you got it.
Right?
Yeah.
And then somewhere in the last year, it just kind of skyrocketed. You know, what else has changed for you in your personal life? You said you're working 100 hours a week. I mean, you have great support at home.
Yeah.
But as a leader, as someone who's looking to grow yourself, you know, are you managing to pack in more travel? Are you managing to kind of?
So I think two things have happened. My priorities have changed.
Okay.
So my priorities are now work and family are on par. So I wouldn't say that one is more than the other. I would say they're very much on par. And I would say my social life is absolutely non-existent because at some point something has to get sacrificed.
Right.
And that is the social life. So I actually told my closest friend saying, listen, I'm just going to be unavailable for 6 months. Please forgive me, but I'm trying to grow and build something. So they're very understanding about it. But it's important to have that conversation so they know what I'm trying to do. But my life is just family, and family means my husband and 2 kids and parents, and that's it. And it's work. So that is how I've had to sort of choose my time correctly. And another thing that's happened is I don't want to take holidays anymore.
Wow.
I find that is a waste of time.
Okay.
So, and I keep getting
I want to tell this to my entire team.
Because I get so many offers, say, go visit this hotel and go spend, like, go to Sri Lanka, do all this. I don't want to. I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and I really want to give it 100%. You know, the fire in the belly is there.
Yeah.
So I don't want anything to come in the way.
But doesn't that add to sometimes the ideas or content or
taking holidays
or going for some of these junkets? Or
I find, and my husband's in the same mode.
Okay.
So he's also, whenever I get like an opportunity, I'll be like, hey, do you want to go to this resort? And he was like, you know, I mean, if you really want me to, I will. And I was like, this should not be something I'm forcing you to do. So I think I'm an outlier, but I think when you have a vision, you just want to go for it. So I'm not a holiday.
Okay, so just paint that vision for us a little bit more, like in terms of the kind of content you're creating, the more immediate kind of things that you want to do. There's clearly enough meat right here in India, in Bombay. You know, what is the kind of messaging, your design philosophy? What is the kind of content that you're looking to put out more of out there?
So I think the kind of content I want to put across is a lot more made in India, because there are a lot of times I show products that are made in India and people be like, oh my God, I can't believe it's made in India. So I don't know why they have that, like, this is made in India, kind of a shock value. So I really want to promote a lot more made in India. I don't promote leather as a material. If a sofa has a leather, that's fine, but that's just something against my ethos. But I do want to promote Indian design and traditional Indian crafts, maybe used in a modern way, and up-and-coming artists. So I do a lot for up-and-coming artists. I keep doing these rounds where I put out a reel and saying, if you're an artist, send me your work and I will promote your work for you. And I've done it a few times now. It's worked very well for those artists where they get a lot of commissioned artwork and things like that. So promoting people who don't have a platform or a voice and trying to preserve Indian traditional craft, which I feel or I'm scared is going to go extinct.
Got it.
So just bringing that to the forefront is something I would want to do even more of on my platform.
That's amazing. I'm so happy to hear that. Like, it's nice to hear of like how you're envisioning growing this.
Yeah, I think everyone's proud to be Indian, right? And I think we're in that mode. It's happening. The marketing also of India is so good now that everyone's proud to be Indian. So there is a momentum there.
Absolutely. And you also visited and you were invited to the opening of the Prime Minister's Art Gallery.
Yes.
Tell us how that went.
That was a surprising one because I immediately got a call saying, I'm calling from the PMO's office. And I'm like, I've paid my taxes.
Good one.
But that happened. They literally called me 48 hours before the event. And of course I said yes, and I went and I got to meet a lot of politicians over there, and it was a lovely experience. But I'll tell you a funny story. What happened is, on my reel, I said something I shouldn't have said.
What did you say?
Can I say it? Yes. I don't know if you'll be allowed to then showcase its podcast.
Tell us.
You can edit it out. So I said, so don't put this as a teaser on Instagram. Let people watch the show to know what happened. But I said, the PMO's agency has called, and I kind of used some words, which wasn't even a bad word, which I cannot say on an Instagram platform. So I posted my reel at about like in the morning. Within 2 minutes, I got a phone call from a Delhi landline saying, hi, did you just post something on Instagram? And I said, yes. And I was like, who's this very like slightly aggressive person? And they were like, we need you to take it down immediately. And I said, but I'm not understanding. And they said, are you Ridhi Khosla Jalan? I said, yes. They said, you said so and so. This you cannot say. And I said, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I couldn't say it. They said, this is your first warning. You have 15 minutes to remove it or we're going to shut down your account. So,
Oh my God. Although, I mean, it shouldn't surprise us. I shouldn't say too much on this either,
yeah,
but it shouldn't
so
surprise
I'm actually
us
thinking
that-
maybe edit this
Yeah.
question out because I don't know if they would appreciate this.
See.
No, so maybe just remove this part out. But it was.
That's what happened.
Yeah. So, but I was so happy to know how on the ball our government is. Having said that, our government is very pro influencers.
Oh,
Yes,
I think.
they are. Because they reach out to a lot of influencers in various industries. Like there was a whole sari campaign that they did for Jan 26. So,
Are we cutting this too?
I mean, you can, but maybe let's not talk about the political stuff. Just remove this. I think please do because I don't want to get in trouble later.
Okay. Any advice you have for other content creators? You know, you've clearly had a lot to manage in this sudden success, and now you're
Yeah.
on to another trajectory altogether.
Right.
But any sort of tips and tricks, or you know, things that you can leave
Can I
them
be a
with?
bit cliche and say just be yourself? I know a lot of people say it, but I think when you're faking it or using filters and trying to do things that other people do, it just comes across to the audience.
But what happens if somebody is not, let's say, as naturally photogenic, or doesn't have, you know, the ease in public speaking, for example? Anything I mean, those are additional challenges perhaps that some people face.
I mean, there are ways around it. So, I mean, if you don't want to talk live, then do a voiceover. If you don't want to do a video, then use a bunch of pictures together. So there are ways, but just be authentic to who you are, and have a purpose. I feel when you're an influencer, you need to know what your purpose is. What are you genuinely trying to do, and what are you trying to influence, or is it more just positioning yourself in society? I feel when you have a purpose, it makes it a lot easier for the follower to understand what you want to do.
Got it. Anyone that inspires you globally, it could be anybody, in terms of your work, whether from the same industry or as a leader?
I would say as a designer and an influencer, because I think she does a kick-ass job, is Kelly Ressler. I feel people who are not in interior still know who she is. So she's clearly done a fabulous job. And she doesn't even speak that much on Instagram, right? It's just images, but her aesthetic sense and the way she's done it is on point.
And your dream project, even though you're not doing projects anymore, but your dream project, if you had to influence the project.
Where there is no budget and I can do it the way I want, that would be a dream project.
Oh, fantastic. The sky's the limit, like you said.
Sky's
That's
the
the
limit.
takeaway from this
Yes.
conversation today.
Yeah.
Ridhi, thank you so much for joining us. It's
Thank
great chatting
you.
with you. I love your energy.
Thank you for having
you
me.
know,
This was fun.
Yeah, and I love that you take things so, you know, not lightly, but with the right spirit. I think feeling that you can just go out there and achieve anything.
You
is a
really
fantastic
can. I
attitude.
feel people need to put themselves out there and you can really achieve whatever you manifest.
Great
Yes.
having you on the show.
Thank you.